Next up is Kidnapped, the Abduction of Edgardo Montara. Bruce Purkey, you got the review. I think, Eric, you also reviewed this as well. You saw this last minute, which is thank you for that. What's it about, Bruce, and does this movie work?
Kidnapped, I say it's a long title. It kind of just comes across as kidnapped when you're watching the movie, but I think because there's a million kidnapped movies out there, they probably had to add the abduction of Edgardo Montara, directed by Marco Bellocchio, I guess you would say.
Bellocchio, yeah, Bellocchio.
Yep, thank you. And basically this starts out, and this is also, once again, this is in the 1800s. You're in Italy. This seems like it's a multi-country production, but I think it's supposed to all take place pretty much in Italy. And it's based on a true story, so that's something right out of the gate. If you didn't know about the story, which I didn't, I guess it's in some circles, it's a known event historically. Basically, there's this Jewish family. They have a large family, mother, father, and I don't know, about 6 kids. And then one day, church/authorities show up. And
I think they're one in the same in this particular area.
Yes, exactly. I think this is during the Pope Pius, if I remember correctly. Pope Pius is kind of our de facto, I guess you'd say, villain in real life, probably, and in this story. The idea is that reports have come out that this Jewish child, Edgardo, which is probably like 8 years old, 6, 7, something like that at the time of the beginning of this movie, was baptized outside of the knowledge of the parents. And because he was baptized, well, he's no longer allowed to live with his family. And they say he's going to be coming with us. We're taking him away. He is no longer, he's a Christian now, so you don't get to keep him anymore. Doesn't matter what the parents think. And that's the impetus to the story. Once again, I'm historically fully ignorant on this whole thing. But basically, he's taken off to near the Vatican area. And essentially, it looks like they have a whole bunch of these kids that at some point or other have been baptized, either willingly or not willingly by the family's case. I think not willingly most of the time. Once that happens, they are basically in the fold and are going to be raised and re-indoctrinated as Christian children to the dismay of their Jewish families. So the rest of the movie is basically, is both inside the experiences of Edgardo growing up in the situation, and then outside the various efforts of especially the mother and father to try to get their son back. It's pretty simple, simple stakes, but big stakes. And that's the basic setup of the movie. I guess I would throw it over to Eric and kind of get his opinion of it, and then I can kind of bounce mine back too. But yeah, what do you think, Eric? What do you think of this movie?
I was enraged the entire time watching this, but like the good kind of enraged, the kind of enraged that engages me. So enraged, I guess. But yeah, the idea that, I mean, this is why you don't want to live in a theocracy, right? Hey, you're an atheist. What does it matter if we're ran by Christians or Muslims or whatever? I'm like, this is why. This is exactly why. I don't want to go really into the baptism at all, because that's definitely a plot point that gets resolved later in the movie. So you have the anti-religious kind of tone of this, which I love. But you also there's a little bit of courtroom drama towards the end, which I also love. Which
I totally thought of Eric at the time when that came up.
Which also made me pull my hair out. Oh, what was the Anatomy of a Fall? Mm-hmm. Where they go to the court scene? I'm just like pulling my hair out, going, what kind of kangaroo court is this? This doesn't make any sense. It's kind of similar, but at least this was like, in a theocracy. So I'm like, I get it. Like, they're not going to be fair because, reasons.
Eric, wait, hold on. I'm a Catholic. Is this a movie that Catholics would like? I don't.
I'm just well, that's kind of the thing of this movie. Because if you're looking at it from a Catholic, you're thinking, oh, look at these heroes. They're saving this child from hell. They're pulling him from the godless religion into the true
salvation.
Religion.
Right.
Yeah, we're offering this child salvation. But from another point of view, from the parents' point of view, they're like, no, they're pulling our child into hell because that's not the religion. Our religion is the real religion.
Yeah.
My opinion, they're both but whatever.
They're both what? They're both what, Eric? What are they both?
Ship.
They're both what? Okay, go ahead.
Ship full of bowls.
Keep on going, Eric. Keep on going.
It's Noah's Ark, full of bowls.
I was all excited for a scissorless thing. Go ahead. Let me just write this down. Go ahead, Eric.
But like the whole back and forth, like if you watch it from one perspective, this looks like, hey, this government and this group of people have saved this child. It sucks. It sucks that the rest of the family couldn't be saved. Not everyone can be saved, but at least he saved this one child. Yay. This is a great movie and very inspired. But if you're looking at it from a different point of view, it's just horrifying. Like, how can someone live in a theocracy like that? How can someone live in a place where the government can just take your kid because of some thing that we can't talk about? We can talk about a baptism, but that's about as far as we can go on it. But this thing that literally I could do something, the thing that was done, and that's enough that says, okay, we get your kid now. Like, how crazy is that? As much as it enraged me, I think that's a good sign, right? Because I was into it the whole time. I hated watching it. I was pissed off the entire time I was watching it. But I think from my perspective, that's what it's going for. But from a different perspective, someone's going to see it differently, but also like it for those reasons.
Bruce, did this movie intrigue you? Is it worth? I don't know what the running time is. I think it's definitely. Is it over 2 hours or something?
Probably like 10 minutes, but
yeah,
I think it's 2 hours.
It's right about 2 hours, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's right about that time period. It's a pretty full story. In fact, I was thinking as I was watching this, one of my only complaints is there are two main time periods that we kind of cover in this movie. I'm going to kind of leave it vague. And I feel like the second time period is I guess, left a little bit shortened for my taste, because I kind of want to know, well, really the big thing about this is, how is Edgardo experiencing this? And I think you have a pretty good feeling on the first time period, even though it's not there's not voiceover and stuff like that, which is good, but you can still figure out from the outside, like, kind of where he's at. But the second time period with Edgardo, I wasn't as sure, although there are some pretty interesting hints about where he's at. I know, but the reason I'm bringing that up is this is one of those where I almost could have taken the second part to be a little longer, not a ton longer, but I could have gone with that. It was interesting enough. I agree with Eric as far as the real kind of point of this. I think in some ways is, I don't think the point of this movie is Catholicism is bad. Yay. I mean, you could look at this and see it, at least the Catholicism at this time, definitely in this way, was probably pretty terrible.
Yeah.
But I think the whole point is more something like, when your dogma or your religion overpowers basic humanity, that's when your religion isn't working anymore. And I think that is something we see. I mean, pick Gaza.
I would push back. I would say that's when your religion is working exactly as intended.
Yeah, well, I think I probably tend a little bit towards you. But if you were to take the most generous point of view, let's just say that someone who's a true believer, I'd say, should be able to look at that and have that same sort of output, as far as, if your side, whatever that side is, and your point of view of the world is diminishing or erasing basic humanity in that sense, then something's wrong. Your dogma or your teachers or your whatever it is, something has gone wrong. And I think that's kind of the main point or kind of thrust of this movie. It's pretty good. I would say it doesn't go to that like crazy classic status to me, because it's a little dry, and like I said, there's a little, I wanted a little more in that second part, but it definitely kept me intrigued throughout.
Okay, opens in New York City May 24th and Los Angeles May 31st. Eric Holmes, what is your rating on Kidnap the Abduction of Edgardo Mortara?
I think like normally this would be like a 4-star, but I'm gonna give it 4.5 just because I was pulling my hair out through most of it. Going, I want to reach to the screen and show all of you. But yeah, it definitely got me engaged. I liked this a lot.
Oh, very, very good.
I'll say I appreciated this a lot, and I understood where it was going, and I was on board with it. But man, I was pissed.
Okay, Bruce, Purkey, your rating.
I am 4 stars, and I absolutely, as I was watching it, I was thinking that Eric would be a little higher than me for those exact reasons. I was thinking I could just feel him being triggered across the airwaves, and then when the courtroom scene came up, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a court in this too, So yeah, 4 stars.
Eric's sweatpants are moving.
Okay, so that's 4.5 stars for Eric Holmes and 4 stars for Bruce Purkey for Kidnap the Abduction of Edgardo Mortara.